it's Penny here, and today we're going to be putting together my TBR for September. I haven't done any readathons for a while, but this month I'm going to be participating in 2 because they're ones that I've done before and had a really fun time with, and I just think I'm in the mood for a readathon. So the 2 I'm going to be doing is first Becca's Bookopoly, which I have printed out a special Bookopoly board for, and I'll tell you a bit more about that one as well. And then the other one is G from Book Roast's Magical Readathon. She's created this whole magical world, and this is going to be the first part of your magical training. It's really beautiful and amazing readathon. I'll get into the prompts for that one in the second half because the books that I choose for those prompts is going to depend on what happens in the first half of this TBR. So usually I use my TBR Machine website that I made that spits out random reading prompts to pick 3 books off my TBR. So what I'm going to do this time is combine that with Becca's Bookopoly. This is how I did it last time in Becca's Bookopoly as well. I'm going to get 3 prompts from the TBR Machine, and each one is going to have an associated role on Becca's Bookopoly. And if I can find one book that matches both prompts, then I'll add that to my TBR. If I can't, then I will pick a book per prompt. So I'm doing 3 rounds, but it could end up being 6 books, or if there's doubles it could be even more. I guess we'll see what happens there. As well, one of my reading goals this year is TBR 0, and I am now down to just 16 books on my TBR, which adds another layer of challenge to this because there's not much to choose from. But I do need to pick off that list for my TBR Machine prompts. However, for Becca's Bookopoly, I'll let myself pick audiobooks or whatever because that's allowed. So I guess that's the intro. Let's get into our first prompt. And I think I'm going to roll for Becca's Bookopoly first. Let's go have a look. I've got it on the other side of the room, which is not very organized, but that's the way that we're doing it. Okay, so I've got over here my TBR stack, and then as well, I've got my Becca's Bookopoly board. I've got my little Cactua as our little game piece. As well, my chance cards are all prompts from the Magical Readathon, and my community shelf is all books that are on this TBR stack. As well, if I happen to get this TBR game one, I will add another round of Becca's Bookopoly and the TBR Machine. Okay, so let's do our first roll. Double. Ugh, of course. Okay, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I didn't mention, a double means I also have to do another round. So TBR Vet is the oldest book on my TBR. Okay, so this is going terribly already because the oldest book on my TBR is Child of Flame. So this is the one that I have to pick for Becca's Bookopoly. But is it going to fit the TBR Machine prompt I get? Unlikely. But let's see, maybe we'll get lucky. Okay, so our first TBR Machine prompt is going to be read a book with food on the cover. I mean, you can eat humans. I'm just going to say you can eat humans if you want to, so technically they're food. Blech. Let me go see if I can find food on the cover of another book. That's a hard prompt though. Okay, so the only book on my pile with food on it is Quazzle. If you look down here, it's got some bread on the floor. This I picked up purely because of the cover. It's like these really weird alien creatures and they've like come to live on Earth. I don't know any more about it than that, but I just thought it was super cute, and it is fairly short. So that's good because that balances against this one, which is the 4th book in the Crown of Stars series. It's a 7-book series. Each book gets progressively thicker. The writing's pretty little. The writing is very dense and hard to get through. This is going to be a struggle. But I do know it matches one of the Magical Readathon prompts, so that's good, I guess. Alright, let's pick another prompt. Oh, Bookopoly first. Not a double, please, not a double. Are you fucking kidding me? 2 sixes, alright. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. History. Okay, so history means like a book based in or inspired by historical times. I can probably get away with a fantasy, but let's see what the TBR Machine gives us. So we've got read a book with blue on the cover. That's flexible. We can do something with that. Okay, so the book that I've picked for both these prompts. Shush! Oops. I forgot about the lockdown announcement. Anyway, the book that I've picked that's going to fit both of these prompts is The Glass Dragon by Irene Radford. So this is actually a bind-up of the whole trilogy. I'm not going to read the whole trilogy. I'm not that crazy, but I'm going to read the first book, The Glass Dragon. It's got blue on the cover, and as well, I'm pretty sure it's inspired by medieval times, so that counts. Also pretty sure I can get it into my Magical Readathon TBR, hopefully. How big is the first book? Just over 300 pages, but the writing's pretty small, but the pages are pretty small. Not too bad. I've got to keep track of how many rolls I've done, or otherwise I'm going to lose track. I've got to do 5 rolls now. I better not get any more doubles. Let's try again. Really? This is... Can I just start again? Okay. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Spooky. Another double? Can I just give up now? Okay. Let's see what prompt the TBR machine gives us. Read the lowest rated book on your TBR. I don't know what that is. What's the chances that it's a spooky book? I'll go do some research. Okay, look. I'm gonna cheat, and I don't care because Bookopoly is being mean to me, and so I'm allowed. I'm gonna go with Butcherbird by Cassie Hart, which is a new release by a New Zealand author, some kind of like thriller horror set in Taranaki in New Zealand. Now this actually has a fairly high average rating on Goodreads. However, despite trying multiple times, when I searched by rating, starting with the lowest and going to the highest, it kept putting this at the top of the list as in the lowest rated, even though it's got an average rating of 4.89. It's only got 6 reviews so far. It doesn't make sense, but I followed the instructions for getting to the lowest rated and this one came up. And it's also pretty spooky because it's like a horror and it's called Butcherbird and I'm counting it. So this is going to be my 3rd book. How many do I need to do now? I've had 3 doubles so far, right? This would have been it. I still got to do the whole thing again. Okay. Next roll! I swear, any more doubles are illegal. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Disability and mental health rep. Okay, this is sometimes hard to know before you go into a book if it's not specifically about that, but I think there's some options on my TBR. Let's see what the TBR machine gives me. Read a book written by an author who is older than you. I wasn't as old as I am. Let's see. Okay, so the book that I'm going to go for that is Blindness by Jose Saramago. This is about like a pandemic where everyone just starts randomly going blind. I have also seen the movie, which I really loved, and in the movie there was at least one actual blind person. I don't know how good the representation will be, but fingers crossed. I'm really hoping I'll love this because I really did like the movie. Oh, and also the author is 87, which is most definitely older than me, so thank goodness. Right, 2 more rounds, I think. No! Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. A book with the of and anime. At this rate, I may as well just put like my whole TBR onto my September TBR, which would be great for TBR 0. Only if I can actually do it though. Okay, let's see what the TBR machine wants to do for us. Read a book written for children. I think I can do this at a stretch. So the book I've got is, my pronunciation is probably going to be terrible, Nake me Fataitai. So this is a children's book, but it's written in Maori, and I'm pretty sure this me is and. It's got to be and or of. My Maori is terrible. This is all written in Maori. So actually reading this is probably going to involve a fair amount of like Googling and translation work. But the art's just really beautiful, and it's like a story about a taniwha in Wellington. And despite the fact that there'll be a lot of Googling and learning, it's pretty short. So that's a good one. How many have we done now? How many am I supposed to be doing? 7, right? And I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more to go. Okay. Rule number 12,000,000. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Randomize. Okay, I feel like actually I just found this book in a different pile from where I'd been keeping things. Maybe this is my last roll now? I've so lost count. But maybe I'll do one more roll after this, and then once I edit this I'll figure out what I've done right and what I've done wrong. Anyway, I got randomized my TBR, so let's see if the TBR machine will somehow let me match with that. That is a prompt in the TBR machine, so like there's a very tiny chance that that prompt will also come up in here. Very tiny. Read the shortest book on your TBR. It would have been this one. So I'm looking at my TBR from here. I can see there's 10 books left on the pile. I can't believe I've reduced it by that much. The shortest book on that pile is number 1. So we're going to get a random number from Siri, and we're going to hope she says number 1. Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 10.
The answer is
10. That is the opposite of 1. I can also see from here that it's not a very short book. Although actually this is only a half book, so maybe it's shorter. What's 570 minus 290? Still not short enough. Okay, so for shortest book, I'm going to go with Falling into Rarahinga. This is like a middle grade fantasy, I think. It's based on Maori mythology, and I think these kids end up falling into the underworld. This is another new release that I was very excited to get. I've actually done very well at fitting all the new releases that I bought from Huia Publishers, which is a Maori author publishing house. Is that the right words? Anyway, I ordered a bunch of books from them, and I've got them all on my TBR, so that's a win, even though I've pretty much got my whole TBR on my September TBR now. The other book is the second half of Wizard of the Grove. So this is a bind up of 2 books. I read the first book, Child of the Grove, just in August, so very lucky I get to go straight into the second book, The Last Wizard. Basically, it's about this girl who's the last wizard. In the first book, she kind of had to face off with this great evil. In the second book, I don't know what's going to happen to her, but I guess we'll find out. Can I just say that's it? Because I can't add any more books. I think maybe I've got one more roll. I'll do one more roll, but if editing me thinks it's not necessary, I'll take it out. I've still got to work out my Magical Readathon TBR after this. Okay, one more roll. If it's a double, I'm just going to explode everything. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gods. Pretty sure I already used the books that would match with that. Okay, good. I think I just filmed some stuff, but I wasn't filming. It was almost definitely a rant about the fact that I don't have any books on my TBR that fit this prompt. I did. They were in my TBR already. Then I spun the TBR machine and I got your most recent purchase. Most of my recent purchases are already in this pile also, but there is potentially a book that would fit both these prompts. Maybe. I'll get it. So the one that would fit this prompt, if we're doing this prompt, editing me might be cutting it out, would be Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. So this, there was a movie about it, and that's what got me interested in it. Basically, there's giant cities that move around, because it's some kind of like dystopian. I got this from a book fair recently. One of my more recent purchases, other than the ones that are already in here. As well, I think there was some kind of religious aspect to it. I don't really remember, but we're going to count it. This is on my maybe I need to read it pile until I do the editing. So, wow, that's ridiculous. Let me stack this for you so you can see it, because it's kind of in a mess situation. I cannot read all of this in a month. Like, what am I even doing with my life? Ooh, this is the pile, and I don't even have Mortal Engines on it, but it's a big pile. I just remembered there's another book that I wanted to read in September that I didn't manage to fit into any of the prompts. I'm going to go away and like process this and review my ideas for the Magical Readathon TBR and see if I can find books from this that will fit that, and then I'll come back momentarily and tell you about that. Okay, so I feel like I've processed, kind of, and I have made a plan for my Magical Readathon. Is it a doable plan? I don't know. But the Magical Readathon, basically you are in this magical world and oh, my battery's running out. Of course it is. Of course it is. Okay, so for the Magical Readathon, G's created this really magical world and there's a lot to it, so I will link that down below if you want to go and watch all the information. But basically, I am now a magical catling and I am traveling to Aurelium to start to learn magic. And there are 7 stops along the way and each one has a reading prompt. Technically, you only need to achieve 2, but of course I want to get 7 because of course I do. So let me tell you how I have matched things up. Firstly, The first prompt is to read a book with a map in it. For this, I'm going to go with The Glass Dragon by Irene Radford because there's a map in it. Rad. The next one is a book that's been tempting you. For this one, I'll go with Blindness because I've been wanting to read this for a long time since I first got it, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to it. Then we have a standalone, and for that I'm going to pick Butcherbird. I also need to read a book with ghosts or a haunted house or some kind of supernatural aspect. For that I'm going to go with Falling into Rarohenga. This is all about the underworld, so we'll take that it's got some kind of supernatural element in it. Then I need to read a thriller / mystery. I don't think there's anything in the pile that matches up. So what I'm going to read is The Passengers by John Mars. So this is a thriller type book where I think a whole bunch of self-driving cars are set up on like a crash course, collision. I don't know, they're set up so they're going to collide and the public have to vote on who's going to get to survive. It's kind of very Black Mirror-esque. I've heard really good things about it, so I'm excited to read that on audiobook. I finally got an audiobook in there. Then the next one is a 5-star prediction. So for this, I'm going to go with The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I also have this one on audiobook. I really love some of Sarah Gailey's other stuff, so hopefully I'll really love this one. I've heard really great reviews about it. It's all about this woman who discovers that her clone is having an affair with her husband, and so they get together and they kill him. Sounds like fun. Then lastly, for the novice path, I need to read a book in a school setting. So for this, I'm going to actually read Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I don't have it here because I lent it to my sister, but if we can get out of lockdown by the end of September, my sister and I have tickets to go and see the musical of Wicked, and I wanted to reread the book before we went to that. I don't know if that's still going to happen, given the fact that we're now in lockdown, but if it does, I still want to have read the book, so I'm going to read it. Then there are 3 more prompts, and you don't have to read them during the month of September, so I guess I'll put them at the end of my list. However, 2 of these are ones that I already got from the previous section, but these are ones that are helping to build up your character for the rest of this kind of like extended readathon series. So the first prompt is decided on whether you are a wildling or more urban. I'm definitely a wildling. I want to live out in nature. I don't want to live in the city. I'm not a city girl. So for this, I have to read something set in a forest or outside. For that, I'm going to go with Nake Me Fataite. My Maori mispronunciation sucks. Anyway, this, I can already tell from looking at the pictures, is all set outside. So that counts for that one. Then you have to pick a prompt based on the different continent that you come from. I looked at the continents. A lot of them seemed very disruptive. A lot of people, a lot of noise. I don't want that. I'm going to live in Dark Meadow, which is kind of like a really haunted, quiet place. I mean, there's demons, but like I'm not scared of demons. And also, like, I'm a cat mage alchemist type character, and at the moment I'm a black cat, which means I automatically have some kind of stealth ability, so I'll be able to hide from the demons. Or like as a cat, maybe I am a demon. Anyway, I'm going to come from Dark Meadow, which means that I need to read a dark academia book. For this, I'm going to read Roses and Rot by Kat Howard, which I've been wanting to read for a while. This is about 2 girls. One of them or both of them get to go to this prestigious art school, but then they're learning things. I think it's fairy based. It's been a while since I looked at the synopsis, but I really liked An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard, as well as a short story anthology I read by her. So I'm really excited to read Roses and Rot. I've heard good things about it. And I've got this one on audiobook as well. Then lastly, your prompt is based on the different race or species that you are. So I'm definitely an earthling because I'm a cat mage. I'm part cat. That's definitely an earthling in this world, is like part animal. So a catling fits in there. And for that, you need to read a book with elemental magic or some kind of elemental word in the title. So for that, I'm going to go with Child of the Flame. Also, you don't have to read these prompts in September, and if I'm not going to read any book off this TBR, it's going to be this one. So that's a good match for that reason as well. So that's an absolutely ridiculous TBR. The only positive that I'm really seeing at the moment is that there's very few books left on my TBR now. So if I can read all of these in September, then TBR 0 is definitely achievable for the end of the year. And maybe if we can stay in lockdown for a while, maybe I can actually do this. I have my doubts, but I'm going to go away and come up with a plan. So Let me know if you've read any of the books that are on my TBR. Do you think I'm going to like them? Do you think that I can do this? If you're doing Bookopoly, was it as horrible to you as it was to me? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.